on *1#.
Subscribe to Masuk for a strong and prosperous economy.
The 2PM Newscast
with
Frinui Crispin.
Monday, 10 November 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to the 2PM Newscast on Royal FM. Our top stories. The prices of basic commodities continue to inflame, leading frustrated Cameroonians decry the situation.
You see, like Gary, 5 liter I used to buy for 2,000 francs. Now it's 3,500. Granola that I used to buy 5 liters for 3,000 is now 5,000.
Meantime, intra-urban transporters have raised worries about the poor state of roads and its effects on their daily lives. Out of the country, former French President Nicolas Sarkozy will be released today after a Paris court ruled he could be freed pending appeal. And in sports, we talk handball, football, and more. Those were our top stories. Dear listeners, thanks for joining us. We begin with this note. Today, November the 10th, 2025 is World Science Day for Peace and Development, celebrated under the theme Trust, Transformation, and Tomorrow, the science we need for 2050. The day emphasizes the vital role of science in fostering peace, sustainable development, and global cooperation. UNESCO, which established the observance in 2001, is urging government, researchers, and communities to strengthen public trust in science and ensure that progress benefits all. The Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Tanganji, is meeting today with administrative and defense officials in the Far North region to review measures aimed at maintaining peace and stability in the region. This is following the presidential elections. Authorities say the visit seeks to strengthen coordination between local administrations and security forces and to reassure the population after the polls. In the meantime, during the swearing-in ceremony of President Paul Biya's last November 6, he announced that he will, in the days ahead, be convening the parliament in a bid to carry out administrative reforms in some sectors. As a result, Evans Williams Jobati caught up with an expert in political matters and on the above issue and now reports.
Receiving the news of a possible administrative reshuffling with the consent of parliamentarians is deemed timely, according to Dr. Bamjo Herman.
At this point in time, we need reforms in a lot of institutions in the country. We are now having strong men in institutions instead of strong institutions. So it is timely for us to have that. But the question is, even when the reforms are made in this institution, who are those who head the institution?
Despite praising the gesture from the re-elected head of state, our brain in political related questions wonders if they will be the same faces or new ones at the helm of these institutions.
That's another thing. Is it the same old persons who are going to be heading these institutions, or the mantle of power is going to be given to the young? So I think that is the major issue that we should be thinking of.
While reiterating that so many administrative bodies in Cameroon needed a change of leadership power, Dr. Bamjo Herman, however, poses the problem of how relevant some of these structures were in the betterment of the country's growth and development.
yes, we welcome all of it for the reforms because we actually need them. We actually need some of the reforms because when you look at some of the institutions are irrelevant. They are not showing their relevance in the 21st century and in the period when everybody is clamoring for change. So if we are able to have such, then we can be able to have some changes, and of course, it's going to ensure development.
It is wise noting that the last institutional reform dates far back as January 4th, 2019, with key appointments being that of Joseph John Gulte as Prime Minister, Gabriel Bairobe for Agriculture, Pierre Ishmael Bidumkwat for Arts and Culture, and Rene Emmanuel Sadi as Minister of Communication.
One of the promises made by President Paul Biya in his inaugural speech was to the agricultural sector. The president noted that 1% of the state budget will be allocated to the agricultural sector. To that effect, our reporter Ngang Nadesh spoke with an expert in the domain who shares their expectations on how the budgetary allocation should materialize in the sector. Her report.
The allocation of 1% of the state budget to agriculture marks a crucial investment in the sector's future. Cyril Akonte is an agricultural expert. He proposes that full decentralization is key to unlocking the potentials of these investments, enabling local authorities to make targeted decisions and effectively manage resources.
I think in following up with the president's policy of import substitution, they've realized the importance of agriculture. And I think in taking a policy to give more resources to the sector, we could advise that this could be done much easier through improved decentralization of resources, thereby working with local councils and local people.
To further support the sector, the expert recommends establishing partnerships with private organizations and NGOs to provide targeted subsidies, training, and resources to farmers, enabling them to increase productivity, improve quality, and access new markets.
This could be done through subsidies to inputs and equipment, especially those who want to do agriculture in large scale. And then this could be facilitated by fostering public-private partnerships in this agricultural sector, which means the government can work hand in glove with the private sector and the NGO activists so that it could be much felt down there.
To conclude, the agricultural consultant emphasizes the need for investment in critical infrastructure such as farm-to-market roads, storage facilities, and irrigation systems to reduce post-harvest losses, improve market access, and enhance the overall quality of agricultural products. Cyril Akonte once again.
They should most importantly improve on key areas like roads, infrastructures, agricultural infrastructural systems such as irrigations, research and extension of services for better yields and more of farmers support. These are areas that I think could go a long way in actualizing or having the impact of the promise of the head of state.
Cameroon's agricultural sector is a vital part of the country's economy, employing around 70% of the population and contributing approximately 17% to the gross domestic product. The sector is diverse with key crops including cocoa, coffee, banana, rubber, palm oil, and cotton. In 2022, agricultural exports totaled over $1 billion, with cocoa beans accounting for 47% of export value.
And following post-electoral tensions which broke out in some parts of the country and led to the arrest and detention of thousands of protesters, the national president of the FSNC, Issa Chiroma Bakari, has given 48 hours ultimatum to the regime in place to free all civilians with immediate effect. Issa Chiroma made this statement yesterday in a viral video published on his social media outlet. In this light, Evans Williams Jobati sought to know from a legal mind, Jean-Brice Conso, what awaits these persons.
The state can always grant a pardon to them, and for those who are unlawfully, they can challenge the action maybe in court. or in any other means. But I would think that the state should understand the times that we find ourselves in and equally explain the fact that the reasons why they have detained the people, at least enlightenment, because that's what keeps us in about enlightenment between the two parties, the state and the people. International organizations can intervene. Even the state people or the people can still equally demonstrate. People can still demonstrate demanding or calling on the state to be able to understand and release. So the people can still play a part, the international organizations and all of that, they can still play a part in ensuring that those who are detained, especially those detained illegally, are set free.
Jean-Brice Conso also goes further to review the role and place of justice in the country.
Beginning from pre-electoral time right up to the post-electoral time, to see that the law actually plays a very important role in enabling justice for the people. And we are entitled or we are subjected to respect the laws of the country. And no one is above the law. And that equally does not mean that if people have grievances or if people have problems with the regime, they shouldn't revolt or they shouldn't express their desires. No. The Constitution of the Republic clearly states that people have the right to strike, to demonstrate. And not only the Constitution, it is equally the 1990 law. But equally the law goes ahead, even in that same set Constitution and in the set 1990 law that are quoted, to be able to restrict the rights of demonstration. They should respect state institutions and the laws, and they should equally like the people, the masses. They should know what to do in the course of a demonstration and what they should not do. And that is where our leaders have been telling. They push us to demonstrate and they don't enlighten us on the laws or on the duties that we have as protesters.
And we come back on the president's allocation of 1% of the state's budget in agriculture. Our reporter Jeffrey Tachum interviewed an economist on how feasible this move is, especially in the context of economic challenges, and our reports.
For economists, the announcement of the 2026 public investment budget that will include a 1% allocation to agriculture, fisheries and animal husbandry calls for appraisal. However, it is also an opportunity to question the inefficiency of public investments over the years, as economist Francis Bijoka explains.
Il y a eu des programmes tels que le plan d'urgence qui avait.
The problem is not putting an amount of money on the table, but rather to know why things never work as planned. We spend tens of billions CFA francs every year in public investments, and we patronize many projects. So if these projects cannot boost growth, what magic can they do this time around?
Les plans d'urgence pénal de relance de la croissance et de l'emploi n'ont pas produit l'effet.
Just like his counterpart, Henry Kwan believes that bad governance is a plague that hinders such ambition to become a reality in Cameroon.
I don't think that the president allocating more money to a program is going to fix the problem. I think the issue in Cameroon is that we have bad governance, there's too much corruption, and there is no follow-through on any projects that are being implemented. So whether the president goes and throws 2% at the public investment budget, it wouldn't make a difference, because agriculture, animal husbandry, fishing, we don't produce even 10% of the meat we consume.
While the director of the Cameroon Economic Policy Institute doesn't approve the president's move, he recommends that transparency and accountability should be reinforced when it comes to public investments.
We at CEPI, we do not applaud the president's decision to increase any budget by 1%. In fact, we think it's going to be much more of a waste. He should focus on streamlining the expenses, on improving accountability, transparency, and governance. This tag approach, we've been talking about it for years. And they should ensure that there's better clarity, better transparency with civil society actors and stakeholders.
The Cameroon budget for 2025 is over 7 billion CFA francs with a focus on decentralization and investment in key sectors like agriculture, manufacturing and technology. While the exact allocation to the Ministry of Fisheries and Animal Husbandry isn't specified, the government has received significant funding for livestock and fisheries developments.
It is 14 minutes past the hour of 2 p.m. You are listening to the 2 p.m. newscast on Real FM. On to health, the Cameroon Red Cross has organized a workshop over the weekend under the theme First Aid in Case of an Accident, the psychological aspect of human management. The workshop was aimed to reach or teach participants on how to apply first aid techniques to a victim in case of an accident. Gang Nadesh interviewed some Cameroonians on their knowledge of first aid. Get them speak in this workshop.
I've known first aid box since I was a child. In primary school, it was one of my favorite topics to listen to in class when they were teaching us about first aid box. When I got to the university too, I got to learn more about the first aid box. Growing up, first aid box was one of the most important things that my father had in his house. We used to call it our paracetamol. So when you have a wound, you have any cut or anything, you just rush to my father's table, behind his chair or something, you'll see everything you need in the first aid box. You just get it and you help yourself. Or if not, he would call you and he would dress up your wound by himself. So I grew up with always around a first aid box. It wasn't really the professional hospital kind of first aid box, but then all the things that are always in the first aid box, talking syringe, plasters and cotton and everything, we had it also. So I've used first aid box almost all my life, and even right now when I live alone, I make sure that I have all the little things that are always in the first aid box to have at home. So I think first aid box is really, really important to have in every home.
People get injured or people get ill in the areas where it's far away from hospitals or health centers, and first aid can be given first to keep you for some time before you get to the hospital. I think I can go with nose bleeding, because with nose bleeding, I will keep the person, like you will sit on the chair, then you extend your head, you lean in front, then you bend your head down and you begin to pinch your nose little by little. That's going to help you. Even with people that have burns, I can give first aid. I'll put the person's hand under flowing water and then the water gets to run over the burned area, and then use a clothing to cover it.
I don't think personally I would have the courage to give assistance to someone in need at the roadside. However, it depends on the gravity of the situation. If it is, for example, someone that just fainted, I will gladly just ensuring the person feels comfortable and then rush the person later on to the nearest facility. So
on to something else in the news. The nature of some intra-urban roads is still a call for concern, as transporters as well as road users raise worries about its effect on their daily lives. Our reporter Glory Ngange went down some streets in Mimboman, Yaoundé 4 to interview some transporters and put together this report.
In the Mimboman neighborhood, just like many others in the Yaoundé city, the struggle of taxi drivers, bike riders and even pedestrians resume at every dawn. These as vehicles and motorcycles cautiously dodge deep craters and crumbling towers on the road. Litinho Parfait is a taxi driver.
This is a very sad situation for me on this issue, because now like this, I don't really know whether we can call it a fair state or we are still living in a country, because when you look at what is happening now concerning the route in the cities, it's something that you don't even know what to say, because we encounter so many problems because of this route issue.
The degrading nature of road is a burden, especially to passengers in delicate situations, as this bike rider explains in Pidgin English.
We go come back. We know see say we go garage, go fish machine before you go again. Because the road for go chapel, it all spoil over. If you said you want for go for school, that one be too much. You carry man say if you say woman will get belly, we know say if he born for you for road. That road it don't beat bad. No way, no day for that road. How when the road comes Shagara say they go fish and carry to now. Now that they say you go camp go do and go do so for camp to where if it's a gravel, you know they.
Litinho Parfait comes back to the fact that the existence of potholes on most of the roads send them to auto repair shops every now and then.
Imagine that tire vehicle is now costing close to 15,000, and you can buy this tire. You will not be able, especially when it's raining, to circulate. And when you spend close to 15,000 to buy a tire, you discover yourself in a hole, which that hole will destroy that tire.
Intra-urban transporters are, however, hopeful that the powers that be will come to their rescue, as Agui Smith states.
We are really expecting that the government should do something as quick as possible as far as the roads are concerned, because it's really affecting our activities. And as much as time is passing, that's how the pothole become bigger and bigger. There are even some areas that are not even passable again because the roads have already cut into two.
As a new mandate begins under President Paul Biya, many fingers are crossed for a betterment of Cameroon's road networks.
We now take you to the society where the recent days have been marked by a drastic increase in the prices of some basic commodities. City dwellers have been decrying the situation, which has made life extremely difficult in the past few days. They shared their frustrations to Glory Ngange, who compiled them in the following Vox Pop.
The prices of some foodstuffs have become so expensive, one cannot even bear. You see, like Gary, 5 liter I used to buy for 2,000 francs. Now it's 3,500. Granola that I used to buy 5 liters for 3,000 is now 5,000. A kilo of meat that used to be 3,000 francs now is 5,000. Onion that I used to, you can have 50 francs, you can buy onions. There's no way now.
People are unable to afford basic necessities due to increasing almost everything in the market. And it's really challenging. I witnessed it on Saturday in the market, and I must affirm that it's not easy at all. I was shocked. I got 2 tiny onions for 300 compared to before that same onions were sold for 50 francs. And it's clear that coping with this current economic situation is a real struggle.
There are many things we pray it changes, like prices of things in the market, like foodstuff, gas, and all the like. Bottle of gas, 9,000, 10,000, and 1 kilo of meat without bone, which was 3,500, now it has gone up to 5,000.
Let's now open our international file with staff lady Mapala Zita, who has joined me in the studio. Good afternoon, Zita.
Good afternoon, Crispin.
Let's begin in Nigeria, Zita. And you say a suspected drug kidnapping has been arrested.
Yes, Crispin, Nigeria's anti-narcotics agency has arrested a 40-year-old man described as a notorious drug lord at the Lagos Murtala Mohammed International Airport as he was preparing to board a flight to Saudi Arabia for Umrah. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA, said Yusuf Abayomi Aziz had been under surveillance for months before his arrest. Spokesperson Femi Babafemi said Aziz had previously been arrested and charged in the United Kingdom but fled to Nigeria after jumping bail. According to the NDLEA, Aziz had established a large illegal drug laboratory in the Lekki area of Lagos where he allegedly produced Colorado and other substances.
And Zita, the trial of Sylvia Bongo starts today.
Former Gabonese First Lady Sylvia Bongo, her eldest son Noureddine, and 11 of their close associates who held prominent positions at the end of Ali Bongo's presidency all stand trial as from 12 charges today. Sources, however, say the wife and son of the former head of state will not be present at today's trial since they left Gabon last month. They face charges including counterfeiting the seals of the republic, embezzlement of public funds, forgery and use of forged documents, criminal association, and money laundering, among others. Crispin,
what else do you have in your package, Zita?
Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy is to be released from prison this after the Paris Court of Appeal ordered his release today. Sarkozy had been incarcerated at La Santé prison since October the 21st, 2025, following his conviction in the case concerning the Libyan financing of his presidential campaign. The request, which was filed by his lawyer within minutes of his being taken into custody on October the 21st, was examined this morning. And then a riot in a prison in southern Ecuador has killed at least 31 inmates, according to prison authorities. In a statement released last evening, Ecuador's SNAI prison authorities said 27 of those found dead at the Marshall prison in El Oro province had been hanged. A further 4 died amid an armed riot that also left 33 inmates and 1 police officer injured. The violence, during which residents reported hearing gunfires, explosion and cries for help, came less than 2 months after 14 inmates died at the same facility in what authorities described as a dispute between gangs.
Thank you, Zita. We come back to talk sport. And in sports, Cameroon has gotten its first medal at the 2025 Islamic Solidarity Games, currently underway in Riyadh. Georgia clinched the silver medal in the women's judo category following a defeat in the final yesterday. Notably, Cameroon's 49 athletes are competing across 9 disciplines and are currently ranked 18 among the 57 participating nations. The head coach of the Cameroon's men's handball team, Jantu Tabet Bertrand, has unveiled a list of 33 pre-selected players for a preparatory camp ahead of the 2026 Africa Cup of Nations to be held in Kigali from January 19 to February 1st, 2026. Biwa Bryan interviewed Stephen Tadaha, a handball expert, on the set list and put together the following excerpt.
That list, according to me, is normal. I'm satisfied with the list because it comprises a mixture of experienced players and new players. This list has Nervis Buffon, who plays out of the county. He is an experienced pivot who has been there in this team for the past decade. We have players like Frank Stege, who are also there normally. Eyebe Alain Romeo, Bikim Ile. Those are players of great experience. I also note the absence of other players like Messimes Frank, Binzi, who has not also been called. Those are players who give their all, and the coach judges that they might have been, they have given their all, and it is time for them to rest. And we have new players in the likes of Gabdibe, rising star, is a guy who will bring very positive impact in this team. You know, Cameroon is going into this Nations Cup for the 19th time, and Cameroon has never won the African Nations Cup. It will be this mixture that can take Cameroon to higher heights.
And in football, the head coach of the Indomitable Lions will have their first training session today in Morocco ahead of Thursday game against the Democratic Republic of Congo. Prior to the set game, the head coach over the weekend reviewed the list of players selected for the decisive fixture. Biwa Bryan has the complete list in the following report.
The players include Andre Onana, Simon Omosola, Davis Epasi, Christian Basogok, Jackson Chachwa, Enzo Boyomo, Carletha Eyong, Brian Mbemo, Nicolas Breeze, Mumingamalu, Malcolm Bokeli, Muhammadu Nagida, Michel Ngande, Williti Yunusa Atua Vom, Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting, Patrick Soko, Vincent Aboubaka, Frank Magri, Nouhu Tolo, Darling Yongwa, Ivan Neyu, Jean Junior Onana, Jean-Charles Castelletto, Danny Namaso, Frank Zambo Anguissa, George Kevin Kudu, Carlos Baleba, and Martin Onglak. The set list carries the names of squad regulars like Junior Emil Onana, Enzo Flavien Boyomo, and Darling Yongwa making their return to the team, while Breeze Abina and Samuel Koto are the names absent from the October camp, with Christopher Wu and Simon Gapandwedbud also left out from the set squad. With only a few days to go, Mark Breeze has already gotten a blow as Danny Namaso, who has been summoned by the head coach, will not join the Indomitable Lions for the November International Games due to an injury sustained while playing against Angers in the French top tier over the weekend.
Olivier Ndema Epo is here with the summary of this newscast in the French language. Good afternoon.
Bon après-midi, Flinui Crispin. Le président de la République, Paul Biya, va consacrer 1% du budget d'investissement public à la formation des jeunes pour la production agro-pastorale. L'initiative constitue un mécanisme nouveau de financement des filières à fort potentiel de main-d'œuvre, le projet porteur d'espoir pour l'économie nationale. Hors de nos frontières, Youssouf Abayomi est aux arrêts au Nigeria. Le trafiquant de drogue a fait la semaine dernière l'objet d'une interpellation à l'aéroport international Murtala Mohamed de Lagos. Le dealer de drogue s'apprêtait à prendre un vol à destination de l'Arabie Saoudite pour un pèlerinage à la Mecque. Youssouf Abayomi produisait du Colorado, un cannabis très dangereux ainsi que d'autres drogues dures. Sport pour finir, Jeux islamiques 2025 en Arabie Saoudite, le Cameroun obtient une médaille au tournoi individuel. Djenge Mouné Georgika a décroché la médaille d'argent dans la catégorie des moins de 78 kg dames. Le Cameroun demeure en course pour une médaille de bronze dans le tournoi par équipe. Le quatuor camerounais fera face à la Turquie en finale de bronze. Ce sera cet après-midi.
The 2pm Newscast was technically assisted by Salomon Esana, our sound engineer and studios clerk, video editor Brian Bida, producer Glory Ngange and Evans Williams Jobati, news editing Mapalazita, editorial coaching Abel Bela Samari, coordination Roger Kiek, general supervision the Reverend Pastor Bisai Emmanuel Noel. For presentation, my name is Frinwe Crispin. Up next is Fraîcheur Royale, the second part with Raissa Parker. Should I greet you again?
Oui.
Yes. Good afternoon.